Is it a car? Is it a boat? No, it's Spy Hunter. Spy Hunter is a 1983 game from Bally Midway. It was originally intended to be a James Bond game, but they couldn't get the license. You drive your car, not a Lotus, along the road, shooting things, avoiding the enemy cars and shooting them, and it also turns into a boat if you take it onto water. There's also power-ups available from lorries as well. You may have first seen this in the arcade, but you may be like me and first saw this on your mate's Commodore 64, which is where we begin. Loading this on my Kung Fu Flash. No loading screen on the C64 version, disappointingly. And the road is this kind of curious grey. And by the way, it's in track mode at the moment, so when the car crashes and something weird happens, then, yeah, there you go. And the game does that at the start, just goes into a track mode. Then you'll be asked if you want keyboard or joystick. You need two joysticks because the second joystick is used to activate the various power-ups you'll get. And here we go. It's the Henry Mancini theme, isn't it, from something or other, because they couldn't get the James Bond theme. Off we go. And the game starts on a timer, and that enables you not to lose any lives while the timer is running. There's civilian cars on the road, and there's also enemy cars that can do things to you, like that thing there. It's an armoured car. That car I just destroyed there, that has wheel things that come out and will push you off the road. Over to the BBC Micro.
Spy Hunter.
BBC version by David Hoskins from Micro Power. Copyright 1983 Bally Midway. And you can see there are many keys involved. Yes, you will have your fingers all over the keyboard like a giant spider on the BBC. And it's worse if you've got a master as well, because you've got to use the cursor keys and they're up in a different place to the BBC B. And you get this very fast, incredibly fast gameplay. And it's high res as well. You can flick it, well, yeah, you can flick it between high res and low res. We can keep it in high res because it replicates the arcade better. So you're in this full colour mode, and obviously with the BBC's limited palette, that well, limits the palette. So, but it does look quite nice. The road's quite narrow. Keys are very twitchy, and you do have a low and high gear available. Unlike seemingly the C64, I've never worked out there it actually has the low and high gear in that version, and that's useful for escaping enemy cars and helicopters and things. PC version. CGA only, copyright 1984 Bally Midway. Options for RGB or composite when you first turn the game on. That's only for NTSC if you got the composite, because then you get extra colours. But that doesn't work in PAL. Joystick support and novice or expert game. Expert game puts more cars on the road, basically. And like the other versions, you start off on a timer. And it might be get pushed off the road there. My keys are requiring quite a lot of pressing to get it to the car to move. We're off down the road. It's moving quite well. Oh, don't touch. Yeah, the PC version, where the other versions you can touch the edge of the road a little bit, the PC versions are a little bit more sensitive to you touching the side of the road. And with these controls that aren't working particularly well for me, it's a repeat of Atari Warriors if you've seen that. This is proving a little bit challenging. Sinclair Spectrum version with this lovely loading screen. You can get versions of the C64 now that have the lovely Spectrum loading screen bolted on. very chunky graphics on the Spectrum, especially coming over earlier from that BBC Micro version. It's all working quite well. It chugs a little bit, but not hideously. Screens are very compressed down, so you can't see that far ahead of yourself. And I've just missed out on a rocket lorry there. Oh, is that moving? Is that going to go? Right, it's gone. The rocket lorry gives you power-ups to get rid of the helicopters later on that try and attack you from above. Trying to shoot the armoured car won't get you anywhere. All you can do is shove it off the road. Amstrad CPC version. Note the Amsoft, well, not the logo, but it's Amsoft on the loading screen there. This came out on Amsoft Gold. Well, apparently it did. It's quite rare. In fact, most people seem to have the budget version of this on Kicks. I say quite rare. I think it's actually... I'm not convinced it came out. I don't know on full price on the Amstrad, but Mode 0 graphics here. Handling's more like the C64 version with the inertia, without the smoothness of the sprite support on the 64. Feels closer to the 64 version than the Spectrum version does. And the screen, although it's a small window you're playing in, the screen is at least more zoomed out. Atari 8-bit version running this on my 130XE, where the colours look rather sepia. This is another version that uses 2 joystick support. And it moves, it's really nice. It really moves smoothly. And the thing about Spy Hunter is you don't necessarily drive flat out. You don't need to. It can be quite dangerous, in fact, to drive flat out. Flat out is useful from getting away from enemies, but not so useful when you want to capture delay. And, don't randomly let off your bullets either, because you may end up shooting a lorry that has a power-up on it for you. The game is one continuous long level. In fact, it loops round. C64 version, and we've hit the water, and we've turned into a boat. This was the amazing thing the first time you came across it. You probably haven't seen a game that did something like this, where you literally jump into the water, turn into a boat, and it's a rip-off of, well, The Spy Who Loved Me, isn't it, really? And it does it. The Spy Who Loved Me game tries to do this and doesn't do it as well. Now, on the water, you're going to be fairly careful. Boats will come up from behind you, and then when you leave the water, you'll get a power-up. I think this is oil slicks. I think I've got oil slicks here. And I'll use joystick 2 to work out what I've got. There we go. And that's good for getting rid of things behind you. Back to the BBC Micro version with this lovely high-res screen running at an incredibly fast speed. Spoke to a couple of other BBC Micro owners, and they said yes, they found this game very twitchy and difficult to play because of the speed. And yeah, it does. I don't know if this is Electron compatible. I don't know. But it might run at a better speed on that if it does run on the Electrons. It's just a tad too fast. The problem is when you slow down, it becomes jerky. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You're just going to memorise the sequence the islands appear on this version. All the versions, in fact. And again, don't go too fast, although a boat will come up from behind you and shoot at you if you go too slowly on the water. There you go. There he is. Although you will usually crash into an island. Oh, I've missed my turn. No, I thought I missed my turning there. Is my turning up ahead? There we go. And we don't get a power up immediately like the C64 version. Back on the PC, where I'm struggling a little bit, having to tap the keys a lot to get the joystick, to get the car to move. And the enemies are quite vicious on the PC version as well. They don't half like coming up beside you and shoving you off the road. Oh, another armoured car there. Avoid the cyclist. And the PC version doesn't fork off. You go straight into a boathouse and in the water. Oh dear, game over. At least I've shown you the PC version, even though it wasn't working out too well for me. On the Spectrum, oh, dead. Oh, that's where the bridge is out. That's where you need to go in the water. On the Spectrum version, you don't have to have two joysticks. You hold fire and pull in a direction in order to activate the power-ups, depending on which one you've got. CPC is a selector down the bottom, which is empty at the moment, where you select which power-up you want at any given time. And this is one of the annoying things about the CPC version. When you die, the game will take you miles in front and then spawn you again there, which if you're looking for a junction or something, means you end up looping round yet again. Was that the off-ramp there? Oh, I was supposed to be down there. Right, that was supposed to be the off-ramp. So I've missed that. There's no power-ups available. I mean, we've got power-ups in the water. You can use your power-ups if you've got any. But there's no power-up boats in the water that give you power-ups. But the things do drop mines. When you die, you lose all your power-ups, which is super annoying and kind of game-breaking as well, as we'll see. Right, old Ken Masters there doesn't want to go up there. See, he just vanishes. But here I am. Again, C64 version gives you a power-up at that point from a lorry, but not on the CPC version. If you like ChinnyVision, there's ChinnyVision 2 with rough and ready videos and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff on it. Link in the description below. We also have Patreon, which keeps this channel advert-free for as long as YouTube allow us to basically be advert-free. And you get bonus videos and previews as well for just $1 a month. That's about 80p, something like that. You can also join us on Twitter and Discord as well. Everyone's welcome. Atari 8-bit in its sepia tones. Why it's all yellow, I don't know. But it moves lovely. It's a very, very nice port indeed. I think I missed my turning for the boat. We go down here. I just don't understand why everything's yellow and kind of sepia tone. There's a power-up lorry. What's that? Is that smoke? And the Spy Hunter theme comes on. Oh. Yeah, smoke. Lorries get in the way, that's the problem. The lorries get in the way. Right, want my smoke. Oh. But I'm rather enjoying this Atari version. It's a very polished version and one I haven't heard much mention of before I played it today. I wasn't even sure if it came out on the Atari, to be honest. And lo and behold, yes it did, and everyone goes on about the C64 version. Like, we need that power up. That's for the for the helicopter which is there. It's the interceptor. Get your backpack away from him. Right. So now, hopefully, when a helicopter comes along, the only way I can shoot them is with the missile. And usually that activates automatically when the helicopter's nearby. But crash, you lose the missile, and then the helicopter will just hassle you forever and ever. Yo! Nearly missed the junction there. But luckily the Atari... Oh, nice charger change there as well. The Atari version is more forgiving than the PC version when you get to the edge of the road. This is nice, isn't it? Back on the C64, we're on to, well, ostensibly level 2. And we know that because the colour changes. Oh, there you go. I've shot the helicopter because helicopter gets near you. All you need to do is press fire and it automatically fires a rocket at the helicopter. There we go. Well, not automatically, you've still got to press 5, if you see what I mean. Your front cannon stops and then your... Whoa! I tried to avoid the thing the helicopter was dropping, and I did, but I crashed. When my mate had this on his C64, what we used to do is one of us would drive and one of us would control the power-ups. And that worked quite well. And it goes back to... Well, games 2 of you could play at once, like hard driving on the Amstrad, but one of us would steer on the keyboard and the other one would use the joystick to accelerate and brake. Oh, now I haven't got a rocket and the helicopter's bothering me. Oh, and they are persistent. Ugh. Hang around for too long and in one spot and the helicopter will just drop a bomb straight on you. It's the same map, it loops over and over and over just with different colours. And I believe that's roughly the same for the arcade where it's an endless game. BBC Micro version, which I'm finding quite tough. Oh, a game over. Far as I can go. This is what it looks like if you click the button to run it in low res. Pretty ugly. Run it in high res like this. Back to the Spectrum, and we are on level 2. I wish it was just zoomed out a bit more. This zoomed in view gives it a feel of a slightly different game, which is a shame. Yeah. Well, I don't know what power that was, but the lorry crashed anyway. Which isn't helpful. And that's the thing. If you don't get the power-ups at the right time and something goes wrong, you won't necessarily be offered up another version. Like that was probably something like a missile. And here comes the helicopter. Oh, no, now there's a power-up. Right, okay. Well, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Come back! Come back! Come back! Amstrad version, and I have no missile. And Inti is up there, and he's just chasing me. Nothing better to do. Just to ruin my game for me. And persistent is not the word. It just doesn't matter. Get into the boat. The helicopter is still there and it makes everything... You're just trying to constantly not hang around in one spot because it will just end badly. It's like the boat race in that episode of Howard's Way. Malicious Afterthought will appreciate this sequence. It's like the Leo Howard versus Ken Masters boat race. Come on. Just want to get out there, get out of here, get out of here, come on. And we're out. Right. Oh, the helicopter's gone. Well, that's benefit. Oh, it's back. And yeah, this will continue on and on and on until you get a rocket power up, which you probably won't. Back again. It's, yeah, at this point, it just becomes crashed. Spectrum version. Still surviving. Just about. Here comes he's done it again! Happens a lot on the Spectrum version. Oh, bottom. No, right, that's going to be game over. Yeah, game over. On the Amstrad version, where I've got infinite lives, it's just going on interminably now. Because I haven't got the power up I need to get rid of that helicopter, and it's just the same thing over and over again, just with more baddies on the screen and more stuff to avoid. And look, I can go into the water again if I wanted to there. Don't think the bridge is out. The helicopter will be back any second. It's probably the longest. It's back. It's back. What starts off as an interesting and fun game has become absolutely boring and turgid. And if you're wondering what the difference is between novice and expert, I'll show you here on the C64. Look, we start off the game and the traffic levels are already insane, let alone when you get later into the game. Spy Hunter, it's an iconic arcade game, an iconic home computer game, one your C64 owning mates were always very keen to show off to you. And on the C64, it's enormous fun. It's not flawless, and there's not a huge amount of depth to the game, but it's one of the earliest arcade conversions that really showed what the 64 could do. Atari version, it's a perfect match for the C64 version, really. The only thing I can complain about are those weird sepia tones. Don't understand why everything's slightly yellow. Spectrum version is far too zoomed in, and the power-up lorries also seem to have some kind of death wish. It is Spy Hunter, but it doesn't feel quite like Spy Hunter. Amstrad version tries to ape the C64 and Atari versions, a little bit too jerky, and the lack of replenishing power-ups when the helicopter arrives. Simply put, if you die, you lose your missile, and that's it. You ain't getting another set of missiles for quite a while. PC version, as far as I could see, within the limitations of CGA, it plays quite well, but a little bit too harsh. Touch anything and you're basically dead. Which leaves us with the BBC Micro version. I really want to love it. I do love the fact it's high res, but it's really, really hard. Incredibly hard, fast and twitchy. Spy Hunter is a game that's been aped over and over again, including in games such as The Spy Who Loved Me, which is an official James Bond game. But you know what? Going back to these C64 and Atari versions of this game, you remember just how good this genre-defining original is.